What's happening, guys? Evan TechSource, and in this video we're going to be building a $450 budget gaming PC. Now the video isn't so much on the build itself, it's more on to see if gaming on an APU in 2019 is still a thing. Let's find out. Hey guys, so Microsoft Office Home and Student 2016 is going for $18 right now on yourcdkey.com if you use my code TS20. Click the link below if you're interested. All right, so let's go over some parts real quick. Starting with the CPU, we are going with the new AMD Ryzen 5 3400G. It's a quad-core, 8-threaded APU with a boost clock of 4.2 GHz and an RX Vega 11 graphics card with a clock speed of 1400 MHz. This currently costs $150, so we're gonna see if it's worth picking this up for 1080p gaming, or is it better to save up a little bit more and go with a dedicated GPU. The 3400G does come with a Wraithspire cooler, so no need to buy an aftermarket cooler. The motherboard I went with is the MSI B450 Tomahawk for several reasons. It has an extended heatsink design for better VRM coverage, it supports higher RAM up to 3466 MHz, and it comes out of the box supporting 3rd generation Ryzen chips. And that's great because I don't have to go through the hassle of flashing the BIOS using an older AMD chip. Also, a quick tip for you guys out there looking to buy B450 boards to support your 3rd generation Ryzen chips. Make sure that it says that it supports Ryzen 3000 right on the box before you buy it. For RAM, we are starting off with 8 gigs of RAM at 3200 MHz, which is plenty for now. However, the motherboard does have 4 DIMM slots, allowing you to add 8 more gigs later down the line if needed. For storage, we are sticking with a single 512GB SSD from Team, which I got for a pretty good deal. Same with the power supply. The Cougar VT600 is probably one of the best value power supplies you can buy right now. It's a 600 watt, 80 plus bronze certified power supply that goes for only $45. That is just too good to pass up. And finally, the case we're going with is the DIY PC Zonda case. It's a full ATX chassis with a see-through side panel, 3 included 120mm fans, and a single USB 3 port in the front, along with a couple USB 2s. For $35, this case is not bad. I mean, it's not the best looking case, and the build quality is pretty flimsy, but it gets the job done, and it fits in our budget. The total cost of this build is a little under $450, so with that said, let's jump straight into gaming, starting off with Fortnite. Fortnite on high settings, I was getting an average of 51 FPS with post-processing set to low and anti-aliasing set to off. I wouldn't say it's playable in high settings since you can't even break 60 FPS. However, lowering the settings to low, which is what you're seeing right now, we can achieve around 93 FPS, which is definitely playable. Next up is Rainbow Six Siege. In high settings, I was getting around 62 FPS, which is barely making the cut. I feel like the game is more enjoyable in low settings with around 90 frames per second. But you can actually up the graphics to medium if you don't mind the slight FPS drop to around 70. But either way, I'm happy to see my favorite game doing pretty good on an APU. CSGO does the best with an average of 136 frames per second on high settings. However, you do get a significant jump in frames, dropping it to low. Battlefield 5 does the worst in the X11 with an average FPS of 24 in high settings. Not much changes when dropping the quality to low. You would only get around 10 FPS more in the lowest quality, which just isn't playable on the 3400G. PUBG also does pretty badly on the APU in low settings, achieving only 54 frames per second. Now the frames do dip a lot, especially if you're outside or if you get into action. If you're indoors, however, it does bring you back up to the low 50s, but either way, getting over 60 FPS is nearly impossible. Increasing the quality to high cuts it nearly in half, with an average FPS of 29. Definitely not playable on the 3400G. Overwatch does really well. Even in high settings, you can get an average of 80 FPS, which is pretty good. However, if you drop the quality to low, it will push you over the 100 FPS threshold, which is definitely playable, especially if you have a higher refresh rate monitor. And finally, we got Apex Legends. It does pretty bad even in low settings. I mean, everything is either set to low or disabled in the settings, and we are barely getting 64 FPS with a lot of frame drops. And it's even worse in high settings. I don't recommend playing Apex Legends at all on this APU. Overclocking the 3400G gave us some pretty good results, and the best part is you guys don't need to know anything about overclocking to do it. Just download and open up the Ryzen Master software, go into creator mode and set the control mode to auto overclocking and max out the CPU boost to 200. Afterwards, hit apply and test, and once the stress test is done, your system will now run slightly faster. This basically allows your APU to run at higher values compared to stock. I was getting an average of 8 FPS across the games I tested, with the most gains coming from CSGO. An average FPS of 191 in low settings after the overclock compared to 181 on stock. So here are my final thoughts on the 3400G. I'm gonna be real with you guys. It's not a bad APU. It can get you some decent frames and less intensive titles while saving you money from buying a dedicated GPU. If you guys are on a super tight budget and you're looking to build a PC only for gaming and you don't plan on playing any graphic intensive games, then I would say the 3400G will keep you satisfied, keyword satisfied, until you save up enough for a dedicated GPU. This PC will do great for games like Rocket League, Overwatch, CSGO, or any RTS or MOBA games like League of Legends. However, if you guys want the best value, personally what I would do is I would go with an R5 2600, which is a 6-core, 12-thread processor, and it's going for $10 less right now. And then I would save up until I have enough to buy an RX 570. I think the power color is going for around 120 bucks or something. You can mow your grandmother's lawn a couple times a year and save up, because going with a dedicated GPU like the RX 570 will give you significantly better performance, thus giving you more bang for your buck. But if you guys want to save even more money, you can pick up the 2200G, which was last generation's quad-core APU. It's going for $85 right now, and you could save that 65 bucks and put it towards the RX 570, giving you way better 1080p gaming performance. And the best part is you don't have to play in low settings anymore. Anyways, that does it for my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section what you think of this build. Would you go with the 3400G APU, or would you save up enough and go with a dedicated GPU instead? I would like to know your thoughts in the comment section. Of course, I'll drop a link to all the parts used in the build down below if you guys want to check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.